The perception that Islamic Dawah, invitation to Islam, seems more difficult today is widely shared by many Muslims and observers. The challenges are multifaceted, stemming from a combination of global political, social, and intellectual shifts. Here's a breakdown of the key reasons why Islamic Dawah faces significant hurdles in the contemporary world. 1. Political and geopolitical context. Association with extremism. The actions of terrorist groups like ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and Boko Haram, who claim to act in the name of Islam, have profoundly damaged the global image of the religion. For many non-Muslims, Islam is now associated with violence, intolerance, and backwardness, making them hesitant to even listen to its message. Islamophobia. A well-funded and pervasive industry of Islamophobia, often fueled by certain media outlets and political figures, promotes a negative stereotype of Muslims and Islam. This creates a preconceived bias that Dawah workers must first overcome before they can even present the core tenets of the faith. Political conflicts. Ongoing conflicts in Palestine, Kashmir, Myanmar, China, Uyghurs, and elsewhere, where Muslims are perceived as victims, create a complex emotional and political barrier. Potential converts may see Islam as a religion of conflict, or may not want to align themselves with a community that is globally oppressed. 2. Intellectual and ideological challenges. Clash with modern secular values. Core Islamic teachings often directly challenge dominant secular liberal values, particularly in the West. Gender roles and LGBTQ+ rights. Islamic concepts of modesty, gender interaction, and its stance on homosexual acts are viewed as oppressive and bigoted by mainstream liberal ideology. Religious versus secular law. The idea of Sharia, Islamic law, governing life is antithetical to the secular principle of separating religion from state and personal law. Freedom of expression. Islam's strict prohibition of blasphemy is seen as a threat to the fundamental Western value of free speech. The rise of atheism and scientism. In an age where science is the ultimate authority for many, the very concept of faith and revelation is questioned. The demand for empirical, scientific evidence for God's existence is a common challenge that requires a sophisticated philosophical and theological response, which many grassroots Dawah workers may not be equipped to provide. Religious pluralism. The modern environment exposes people to all beliefs, and non-belief, on an equal footing. The Islamic claim of being the final and most complete revelation is just one among many competing truth claims, making it harder to stand out. 3. Social and cultural barriers. Negative behavior of some Muslims. The gap between Islamic ideals and the practice of some Muslims is a major obstacle. Corruption, tribalism, hypocrisy, and un-Islamic cultural practices within Muslim-majority societies can disillusion seekers and make the message seem hypocritical. The famous saying, "The Muslim is the first Dawah of Islam," rings true here. Cultural baggage versus pure Islam. Many new Muslims or seekers struggle to distinguish between core Islamic teachings and cultural traditions, example forced marriages, honor killings, specific dress styles from certain regions. This cultural Islam can be a significant turn-off. The Ummah problem. The internal divisions, sectarianism, Sunni-Shia conflicts, and lack of a unified, credible leadership in the Muslim world project an image of a fractured and dysfunctional community, which is not attractive to outsiders. 4. Methodological and internal challenges. Outdated Dawah methods. Relying solely on traditional, often confrontational, methods can be ineffective. Simply quoting verses without context, using fear-based approaches, or engaging in heated theological debates can alienate modern audiences who value dialogue, empathy, and personal journey. lack of deep, holistic knowledge. The modern Dawah worker needs to be not just well-versed in Islamic sciences, but also in contemporary philosophy, science, psychology, and other world religions to effectively address the complex questions of today. This is a very high bar. Focus on converting over serving in some circles. Dawah has been reduced to a numbers game. A more effective model, exemplified by the Prophet Muhammad's PBUH life, is one of service to humanity, building schools, hospitals, and shelters, which speaks louder than words. A shift in perspective, opportunities within the difficulty. Despite these challenges, many within the Dawah sphere also see opportunities. The information age, while it spreads misinformation, it also allows for authentic Islamic content to reach a global audience directly. Online platforms, podcasts, and social media have given rise to influential speakers who can articulate Islam in a modern context. The search for meaning. In an increasingly materialistic and lonely world, many are spiritually hungry. Islam's clear answers about life's purpose, its community-oriented nature, and its spiritual practices, like prayer and fasting, can be deeply appealing. The why movement. People are less interested in what to do and more in why they should do it. This pushes Dawah workers to focus on the wisdom, hikmah, and philosophy behind Islamic rulings, which can be more persuasive. In conclusion, Islamic Dawah seems difficult today because it is operating in a radically different landscape from the past. The challenges are not primarily about the message itself, but about the heavy baggage it carries, political, cultural, and ideological. Successful Dawah in the 21st century requires personal example. Living the ethics of Islam is the most powerful Dawah. Intellectual honesty. Engaging with tough questions without apologetics or evasion. Wisdom and empathy. Understanding the seeker's background and addressing their specific needs and doubts with compassion. Service to humanity. Demonstrating the value of Islam through positive social contribution. The difficulty, therefore, is not an indication of a flaw in the religion, but a call for a more sophisticated, patient, and holistic approach to sharing its message.